Good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Nothing But Sports with Kent Sterling for Friday, January 24th, 2020. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Dr. Mike O'Neill has built a dental practice. The culture of excellence at Today's Dentistry is just unbelievable. Avail yourself of their services. I've been doing that for 26 years. You will absolutely love it there. 317-849-2933. It's a Friday. And that means questions from Harry. Harry, of course, ensconced at the bar area of Will's Northwoods Tap at the corner of Racine and Nelson, about 4 blocks south of Wrigley Field. Harry, how you doing this afternoon?
Oh, I couldn't be better, Goodnill Reds. The gin is flowing like gin. You put a little bit of fizzy business in there, and you're all, maybe a wedge of lime, you're set for the afternoon. Dutchie drinking hers today out of a Hockershore glass. I'm going with a little shorty highball glass. We're having a hell of a time with our good friend here, Willard Scott, of course, is the bartender, we call him here at Will's Northwoods Tap. All right, let's get right to the questions, shall we? All right, number one, can Indiana win the Big Ten? Whoa, what kind of a question is this? Can Indiana win the Big Ten? Biting off a little bit more than you can chew there, perhaps, Goodnill Reds.
You know what? Here's where Indiana is. They're 5-3 in the Big Ten. Michigan State and Illinois are the co-leaders of the Big Ten at 6-2. Indiana is a game back. They've got a winnable game this Sunday against Maryland. Illinois is going on the road. Michigan State going on the road. Illinois is going to be at Michigan, and then Michigan State is going to be at the Barn at Minnesota. Those games could fall to the home teams, and Indiana could hold court at home against Maryland. And if that happens, 9 games into the Big Ten season, Indiana will be tied for first place. How about that? So, you know what? It's not out of the question. Now the sledding's going to be tough. They're not going to play as well as they did last night throughout the rest of the season, particularly on the road. But things could happen. Good things could happen. I think Indiana's going to find a way to shoot from the foul line a little bit better. And my God, they had better at one point last night until those final 2 free throws from Jerome Hunter. They were 9 of 18 from the line. That game should have been over if Indiana shoots well from the foul line, and that includes the front end of a 1-on-1. So they left a lot of points on the board with their poor foul shooting. And so, you know what? I think that this team's got it in. This is a really young team. They're getting virtually nothing out of their seniors, Devontae Green and Deron Davis. They are not contributing a lot and did not contribute a lot last night in Indiana's win. So you've got a bunch of underclassmen who are figuring out the game, figuring out how to compete together, figuring out whether they belong at a college like Indiana playing basketball. And I think that sets them up for a rest of the season. And we've got what? We've got about 7 weeks left where Indiana can raise some hell. And I think that if Rob Finney can get back to 100% health, and if Jerome Hunter can get really healthy, then this team becomes very, very dangerous down the stretch. And maybe we can look forward to a Big Ten tournament where Indiana actually wins a game or two in that tournament. That would be a lot of fun. I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten. You know what, though? They're a game back. You know, there are a lot of teams that are a game back. Indiana, you are what your record says you are. Indiana right now 5-3. Illinois, Michigan State, they're 6-2. That can all change Sunday, baby.
You know, I don't like being called baby. I think baby is kind of like buddy. Hey, buddy, you say that to people whose names you've forgotten. I don't think you've forgotten my name. My name is Harry, damn it. Number 2, enough admonishment for Sterling. It's still early in the day, so I can use a word like admonishment without stammering. Number 2, what's wrong with Purdue? They've got Wisconsin tonight at Mackey, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Purdue's having trouble scoring the basketball. They don't have a natural scorer like they've had the last few years. They've got Sasha Stefanovic, who's pretty good shooting the ball from outside the arc. Other than that, like last year, they had Ryan Klein, who was a really good outside shooter, and they had Carson Edwards as a guy around whom that entire offense orbited. Now, they don't have either of those guys, and they really miss both of those guys. I think you've got to run the offense somehow or another through Harms. If you don't get Matt Harms a touch each and every possession, I think you really put yourself in a jackpot. Against Wisconsin at Mackey tonight, I think it could be a tough go. And if they don't win that game, man, they fall to 10-10 on the season and fall another game back in the Big Ten, putting themselves in a position where they would likely have to win both games against Indiana twice in the upcoming, what do they got? They got 12 games left, right? Twice in those remaining games, they've got to play Indiana, once at Mackey and once at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. They might have to win both those games if they're going to get to the NCAA tournament. But what's wrong with them? They can't score the basketball. Basketball's a two-way street, right? You got to play both ends of the floor well to get wins. You've got to be able to score it, and you got to keep them from scoring it. Purdue, they checked just one of those boxes.
Who said boxes, Dutchie? How are your boxes doing? Maybe the plural, not appropriate. And anyway, number 3, Butler has lost 3 straight after being ranked 5th, with Marquette visiting tonight. Did being ranked that high distract them?
All right, let's talk about tonight for a minute, but the non-basketball part of tonight. Tonight is Project 44 night at Hinkle Fieldhouse, where they're going to be very, very active in getting the people who are in attendance to sign up for the bone marrow registry. So you become a person who could be seen as a match or evaluated as a match with somebody who needs a bone marrow transplant. This is all in the memory of Andrew Smith, who was taken from us way, way too young. So we really would like all of you, we'd like to remind you that you need to sign up for that registry. You can do that. You can do that at the game tonight, obviously, and then you can also do that online. You can do that at project44.org. All right, let's talk about the game tonight. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think at some places maybe it would, but they don't get fat and happy at Butler. They keep their heads on straight. That's part of the Butler culture. It's part of the Butler way. And I think that Butler is a team that's kind of impervious to that kind of assault from within. I think they've just played good teams. They played a DePaul team that shot it exceptionally well up in Chicago. They played a Villanova team that's rounding into form and is starting to play basketball at a high level. You go on the road in the Big East, you got a chance to get beat. The one game that I think that they would like to figure out how to go back and replay is that Seton Hall game at Hinkle Fieldhouse, where Butler really didn't compete very well in that game. Other than, and they never match up well against Seton Hall. That's just the way the Big East works. Tonight against Marquette, I do think that they match up well. Marcus Howard is terrific, averaging nearly 30 points a night. But I think that Butler is going to be able to get back on track. They were never the 5th best team in the country. That ranking was preposterous. However, they are really, really old, and old is good. Seniors, a lot of juniors, and they've got a Marquette team coming into town that focuses on one guy as kind of their offensive leader. We'll see what they can do tonight. I think it's going to be good news from Hinkle Fieldhouse tonight. Of course, that's a late game. Starts at 9. Both those games, Purdue and then Butler, both on Fox Sports 1. It's a Central Indiana basketball doubleheader. I hope we enjoy it. I hope we get 2 wins.
I do too. Hey, Willard, do we get the Fox Sports 1 in here on the televisions? All righty. Then, Dutchie, let's make a night of it. We've got, we got 6.5 hours to the tip of the first game. Is that going to be enough to get to fill our gills with some of that delicious juniper juice, as it were? Dutchie nods her head in agreement. All right, number 4. Will you watch the Pro Bowl?
No. I have no interest in the Pro Bowl whatsoever. And more than that, the players don't have any interest in the Pro Bowl. They don't care who wins that thing. And because nobody cares who wins it, I'm not going to watch. If you watch a sporting event where nobody gives a damn about the results, what the hell is compelling about that? What would make anybody sit in front of a television for 3 hours and watch people play patty cake instead of football? it's going to look like the football's going to look like a football. The guys are going to be in pads. They're going to be wearing helmets. So this is going to bear a vague resemblance to football. But at the end of the day, you got to compete to compel my interest. And there's no competing, and so I am not compelled to watch that game.
All right, number 5. Victor Oladipo is expected to be back Wednesday against the Bulls in a game at Bankers Life Fieldhouse. What do you expect that will mean to your Indiana Pacers?
That's a great question because we really don't know. First of all, we don't know the health of Victor Oladipo and the strength of Victor Oladipo and whether he's going to come back like the Victor Oladipo of old. If he's the Victor Oladipo that we saw before he tore his quad tendon, then you're adding an all-star to a lineup that already has put together a 29-16 record and after this weekend could very easily be 31-16. You do that. And Victor Oladipo comes into the lineup and plays defense the way he's able to play defense or the way he was prior to the injury. And offensively is another guy who can give you 18 to 20 points a night. And holy cow, you got a hell of a thing. You got Brogdon, you got Sabonis, you've got TJ Warren, and you'll have Oladipo as guys more than capable of scoring 20 a night. And hey, the fifth guy is going to be Miles Turner, who's also very, very capable on both ends of the floor. This is really one of those experiments in basketball where you look at the combined attributes of everybody on the floor. And I think the sum of those parts, you're going to have a team that's greater than the sum of those parts. I think the Pacers could be special. Here, is anybody else in the East going to be able to add a talent like Victor Oladipo to their lineup? Not unless they make a big trade and they give up a bunch of assets to get that guy, probably a guy with an expiring contract who might put you over the hump. Well, the Pacers are getting Victor Oladipo, and it's costing them nothing. They don't have to pay a dime to another team to add Oladipo because he's already on the roster. Now, Oladipo's got to be healthy. Like I said, if he's able to do what he was able to do prior to the injury, that's a hell of a dynamic starting five, and you're moving Jeremy Lamb to the second unit, that could be killer. Indiana Pacers, they could wind up second in the East after turning over about 60% of their roster in the offseason. How spectacular would that be? How good a job has Kevin Pritchard done in assembling this roster and his staff? Don't sell short the contributions of Donnie Walsh and Peter Dinwiddie and Ryan Carr and Chad Buchanan in all of this, and all the other guys who are involved in that decision-making, Kelly Krauskopf as well. Those people have done great work in putting together this team and putting them in a position where with Vic coming back, they could get to the number 2 slot in the playoffs.
I like it. This was a happy day. A lot of good, positive vibrations coming from Ganilred. I'm getting positive vibrations from our good pal Willard Scott, the barkeep, here at Will's Northwoods Tap at the corner of Racine and Nelson in the beautiful windy city of Chicago, just 4 blocks, or 4.5 really, blocks south of the friendly confines of Wrigley Field. Actually, 5.5 blocks. We're just north of Wellington, for those of you keeping track at home. I am going to massage and rub Dutchie's pumices until she growls like a cougar. That's my afternoon. One hand full of feet, the other hand full of a Hocker short glass to the brim filled with, what is that? Yeah, the gin and White Claw, which we enjoy so well. All right, have a great weekend, Ganilreds.
I'll do that. You do the same, Harry. Again, the doubleheader tonight on Fox Sports 1. First, you've got Purdue and Wisconsin from Mackey, and then from Hinkle Fieldhouse, you have the Marquette Golden Eagles visiting the Butler Bulldogs. And then at 10:30 tonight, you got the Pacers and Golden State. That game, of course, on Fox Sports Indiana with Chris Denary and Quinn Buckner. 3 wins tonight. I think we get in Central Indiana. And then that game on Sunday between Maryland and Indiana. If Indiana wants to prove that win against Michigan State wasn't a fluke, here's its chance. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you Monday morning, Breakfast with Ken on Facebook Live at 8 in the morning. And then immediately following that, we're on Periscope, which is accessible, as you well know, on Twitter. It's a show so nice, we do it twice. Hopefully we're wrapping up, recapping a great weekend of basketball in Central Indiana. Let's get 4 W's. What do you think? I think we can do it. I think we can get a win tonight, 3 wins tonight, another win for the Pacers on Sunday at Portland, and a win Sunday for the Hoosiers against the Maryland Terrapins at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Remember, Project 44 night tonight at Henkel Fieldhouse. Sign up for the Project 44 Bone Marrow Donor Registry. Get that done. You might be gifted with the opportunity to save a life. How cool would that be? We'll talk to you Monday morning, brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. Join me.